Yesterday was all about celebrating the trade and Nico Harrison for making that happen. Today, I think, is quite a bit about what comes next as we look forward to the draft, which is next Thursday when this trade will be finalized. Maybe it's another window of opportunity for things to get done or them to find a good player if they can get back into the higher into the second round. And then after that, free agency is going to be off and running. So we have another 2 or 3 weeks of some pretty hot and heavy player personnel type of movement stories. My first question is, do you guys think they'll be willing to go into the luxury tax? And maybe, Brian, you want to ask your good buddy, Mark Cuban, this question. Because I think they better, and I think they will, but you can't be sure.
Yeah, I'll ask. But, to me, I think with the moves that they're trying to make, and he basically came out and said that they were going to, they could offer Brunson more money than anybody else. That appears to me that they're pretty set on getting that done and then, adding with the Wood trade and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think they're totally involved with that.
Yeah, I think them making the move for Christian Wood shows that, because I think that puts them even further in the hole, assuming Brunson's coming back. Like they're basically volunteering to have to pay more because now they just rid themselves of a handful of roster spots that they're going to bring on more guys to fill as well. So the way I understand it is bringing in Christian Wood is kind of just like putting action to the fact that they're saying, yeah, we're ready to go. It doesn't really matter what the bill is. Mark Cuban's ready to foot that thing, which is very exciting.
Well, what they could try to do is try to move off of Dwight Powell's contract, right? Trade him to a team with cap space, get nothing in return, and really try to jockey that luxury tax threshold. That would be the cheap man's way of trying to build a contender. Or you just say to hell with it. We're gonna pay a very significant luxury tax bill, but that's what it's gonna take. And I hope Mark Cuban approaches it the same way the Golden State Warriors have. Because in a league where the salary cap's $150 million, the Warriors paid $340 million in salary and luxury tax combined this year. That's a financial commitment. Now, the taxpayers did build them an amazing arena. So maybe for Mark Cuban, it's like, you want the assurance from the city. You're going to get a new arena if you're going to drop $100 million a year in payroll. But this is the opportunity for tech billionaires or for sports owners to really show the community, I am willing to do whatever it takes to bring us a championship, right? And you don't want your owner getting into cheapskate mode like what we've seen the Phoenix Suns under Robert Sarver do 2 different times over the course of the last 20 years, where you have a real contender, but all of a sudden business decisions start getting made. And if I see business decisions, I think my appreciation for Mark Cuban will plunge to an all-time low. I think that's what's on the line right here.
Yeah. I think Mavericks fans, we all understand like where we're at right now, which is in a great position. You're one of the teams with the top 5 to 7 best odds to win the title for next year. You got to strike while the iron is hot here a little bit. And with having a guy like Luka as well, understanding that you're constantly selling Luka on how much you care about building a team around him. And so I think the move for Christian Wood signifies that. And from a fan standpoint, everybody's always like wondering, like, why are you getting in the players' pockets? Like, you don't want the ex player to get like Dalton Schultz. You don't want him to get a ton of money. And it's like, it's because it's team oriented. Well, now it's the flip side where it's not the players. We're looking at the owner saying, hey, we need you to foot the bill here. We're looking at you saying, we're not trying to save you money. We care about the team. That's why it goes to the players sometimes where you're like, I don't want that player for that money. And then at the same time, it's like, okay, now I'm looking at the owner to say, hey, we need to spend a ton of money here. I don't care how much it costs you because I'm pulling for my team. It's always funny where people are like, why don't you want that guy to get money? Because I'm not a fan of the Dalton Schultzes. I'm a fan of the Dallas Cowboys. I want what's best for them. I'm a fan of the Dallas Mavericks. What's best for the Dallas Mavericks right now? For Mark Cuban to say, blank check, baby. Let's go build this thing right now.
Yeah, the NBA actually has a way for owners to financially commit to their rosters without it hurting the team, as long as you have the bird rights. In the NFL, if you go over the cap to keep guys, you got to pay the piper down the road.
Right.
In the NBA, the only piper that's paid is an actual check of real dollars that the owner sends to the league and is distributed amongst your partners. And I think if you really, really want to win, as the Golden State Warriors have shown right here, you're very willing to go into that area.
Oh, I think that, again, the fact that this team was able to make the run the way, there's a lot of commitment, I believe, with what he's seen with Nico, what he's seen with Jay Kidd as a coach. I think he has to be very, very happy, very pleased. And I think Mark is one of those guys that's willing to do whatever he has to do in order to maintain his team being competitive.
I totally agree with that. The only reservation is he hasn't over the last 10 years, but I think you could say he didn't because they weren't a contender.
I think that the change with Rick no longer being here and Donnie no longer being here has changed him as an owner. I really do believe that.
Revitalized him a little bit?
I think it has. I think that he trusts those two to take his team in the right direction. And maybe there was a little bit of some lacking of trust from the previous regime.
Remaining questions about your Mavericks following the Christian Wood trade. How about this one? 469 wants to know, Erica, will Wood take it to the hole? You got to be kidding me with these nosebleeder guys, Brian. Will Wood take it to the hole? I
have a lot. Like if we were in the 7-11, I had a lot of Wood, and you got the Wood, but you didn't get any D with the Wood, which is a little bit disappointing. Yeah. It's rare that you get a whole bunch of Wood coming to town and no D.
That is crazy, man. Yeah. Maybe a little on the perimeter, just on the edges.
Just a touch. Yeah, just on the edges. Just for a second, though.
Okay, 682. Nico's just getting started. This is where Nico starts using his shoe connections to bring in solid veterans to go win with Luka. Nico is the man. That's Jesse, the Bengals guy.
Well, I appreciate Jesse saying that. I think there was a lot of unknown about Nico. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, I kind of feel like that I know guys and gals around the city that are involved in front offices and player personnel and stuff like that. And the more you talked about Nico, they were even like kind of scratching their heads a little bit, and I give him credit. If he convinced Mark Cuban to move on from Porzingis, which I probably believe he did, and if he's wheeling and dealing and giving, bench players, and the 26th overall pick to an organization to get a legitimate player, then I'm signing up for more of this with Nico. I can see why if Mark, because when I reached out to Mark about coming on and talking and stuff like that, his whole idea was like, hey man, Nico's the guy. Nico's my guy. Nico's the one getting the stuff done. So if that's the case, and that's the total opposite of what I believed was going to happen.
Yeah, you're right. You were a little skeptical about that, Nico, and you should be. I mean, it was a sneaker executive with no experience other than being a player in the world of basketball, but he's showing that the skills that allowed him to rise to the top at Nike are applicable here running basketball teams. How about this one? 469 as well. Did the Knicks hire Brunson's dad to lure him to New York? They absolutely did. And you could read more about that dynamic in a piece that Tim McMahon did, a couple 2-3 months ago. And I think it's going to be a factor. It actually brings up another question that I have. Speaking of striking while the iron's hot, Jalen Brunson's value is at an all-time high. Do you want him back, or would you like to see him maybe in a sign and trade for a player or combination of players with a longer track record of being, really, really good? I'll take it either way. I think bringing Brunson back would be awesome. I do wonder if your two best ball handlers are also below average defenders and at times significantly below, how much staying power do you have in some of these big playoff series? You just saw a massive defense off for the championship, right? Golden State and Boston, and they were bringing like 7 or 8 guys to the party. They never had multiple guys on the court who couldn't defend. And if you're incorporating Bertans and Tim Hardaway Jr. and Luka as significant parts of your rotation, and Christian Wood is not a great rim protector, maybe moving Brunson to the Knicks and giving him and his dad, that path to New York and taking back a couple of guys would not be a bad idea either. So I'm kind of like up for either direction when it comes to the Jalen Brunson offseason, Chief. Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is just making sure that you don't let him just walk out of here, which I don't think they're going to do. So as long as I have the confidence and the faith in the front office now to, like, if they want to. If they want to find out a way
to pull off a sign and trade deal involving Brunson, then I will be open to that. I just think Brunson is an asset that even if you're not doing the sign and trade right now, just keeping him, and then once you get to the trade deadline this upcoming season or even the season after, like, I think Brunson is a commodity that you can flip at some point. So whether it's the sign and trade now for something, or it's in 6 months, or it's in 18 months, whatever it is, I think Brunson's a guy that you can use to flip if you feel like that's the best thing.
How about the idea of a sign and trade for Julius Randle? Would that excite you?
I don't think Julius Randle's really exciting me. I think I'd rather have Jalen Brunson on my team than Julius Randle.
I'm kind of thinking like, okay, if something happens with Luka, who is your primary ball handler?
Well, at this point, it's definitely Jalen Brunson.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. I mean, are you willing to move on from that? We've seen Luka, and there have been times where he gets banged up, misses some games. I mean, he then misses the stretches of games like he did, like Porzingis and stuff like that. But you don't want to do anything that would derail your team by getting, it's almost like if you get rid of Brunson, it's almost like Cowboys getting rid of Cooper. Did you make your receiver crew a little weaker?
If you were able to get Goran Dragic for veteran minimum, if you could find another ball handler with your mid-level exception, and you traded Brunson for Julius Randle, I think you could make it work, and your front court would suddenly be 4 players deep.
Okay, well, see, that's what I'm saying, though. If you've got the plan to be able to make up for
because
the secondary
you
ball
couldn't
handler.
go. You couldn't go with just Luka and Dinwiddie as far as rotation caliber ball handlers and creators. Yeah. I'd be terrified. You don't win that series against Utah without Jalen Brunson. There's tremendous value there. I just don't know if his value as an asset is going to hold up at this level over the next 2 years. And if you're thinking at all like, I don't know, do we want Luka and Brunson together? Maybe now is the time to flip them for a good big man and maybe another perimeter ball handler type of guy.